My Gurudev, Srila Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. To my beloved grandfather, spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Those of us who are the spiritual children and grandchildren of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, would all be lost orphans were it not for His compassion and mercy. My Gurudev, Srila Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, has said that while we will never be able to repay the debt of gratitude that we all owe Srila Prabhupada, what we can do is be pleasing to Him by always taking shelter in the holy names of Krishna.
You know, you went to door to meet someone, went door to door, you know. Maybe you're selling soap or selling newspapers or whatever. You knock on the door, you know, and the guy opens the door. No face. Whoa! I'm getting out of here.
You know, this age that we live in has been described as one of chaos and confusion. These are indeed confusing times. Less than 25 years ago, the American Psychiatry Association considered homosexuality to be a psychiatric disorder. Nowadays, homosexuality is glorified in society and promoted in popular culture. Our movies, our TV shows, our music are saturated with the lie that being so-called gay is a wonderful, healthy, alternative lifestyle. Furthermore, I've heard from more than one source that there's talk of adding the term homophobia to the APA's list of psychiatric disorders. And what does the word homophobic mean today? Anyone who disagrees with the homosexual activist, anyone who speaks the truth and says that homosexuality is an aberrant sexual behavior is now considered homophobic. The implications of this are staggering. The National Opinion Research Center, based at the University of Chicago, puts out an annual survey. And one of the questions that they ask each year is, do you think that homosexual behavior is always wrong? Every year for the last 25 years, approximately 70% of the American people have responded yes to that question. That's an awful lot of people with psychiatric disorders that presumably the APA will have to cure. Now you may be asking yourself, how in the world have we as a nation come to this point of actually considering legalizing homosexual marriages? Why the big turnaround? It did not happen overnight. Homosexual activists introduced the concept at the National Coalition of Gay Organizations in Chicago in 1972. About 200 people from 18 states representing 85 homosexual organizations, they came up with 17 federal and state demands. And one of these demands was, and I quote, the repeal of all legislative provisions that restrict the sex or number of persons entering into a marriage unit, and the extension of legal benefits to all persons who cohabit, regardless of sex or numbers, unquote. So you can see from the very beginning, homosexual activists not only wanted to legalize homosexual marriage, but they also want to legally sanction multiple partner unions as well. Think about this. For example, a significant number of homosexuals consider themselves to be bisexual. In a three-way bisexual relationship, two men and a woman, the men would benefit from legalizing homosexual marriage, but what about the woman? She'd be left out in the cold. Wouldn't she have a legitimate claim against the state for discrimination? My point is this. Once the state legally sanctions homosexual marriage, where will it draw the line? Why wouldn't I be able to marry my daughter, or my son for that matter? If we both consent, then why not? What right would the state have in telling me who I can marry or how many people I can marry? If we as a nation legalize homosexual marriage, we will be opening a Pandora's box that will be impossible to close. Those who practice other aberrant sexual behaviors, they will be banging on the doors and saying, you allowed the homosexuals to get married, why not us? Now some of you may be thinking, this is ridiculous. What does same-sex marriage have to do with me here, my family here in Iowa or California, Florida, wherever? You know, those crazy Hawaiians are sitting out there underneath their coconut trees and they're stuck out there in the middle of the ocean. Maybe it's water on the brain that's causing them to consider such an absurdity as legalizing homosexual marriage. The fact is, friends, if Hawaii legalizes homosexual marriage, it will have an impact on every American. Homosexual couples from all over will fly to Hawaii, get married, and return to their home states with marriage licenses in hand and demanding the rights and benefits that heterosexual married couples presently receive. And because of the full faith and credit clause in the U.S. Constitution, which says that each of the states must recognize the licenses distributed in other states, homosexual marriage will surely become a reality. Tons of lawsuits, of course, will be filed, and ultimately the U.S. Supreme Court will most likely get involved. If we as a nation legalize homosexual marriage, the welfare of our children and future generations will be in jeopardy. Compulsory education forces all children, a truly captive audience, to attend school. If same-sex marriages become legal, children will be taught in their health education courses, sex education classes, and health and family courses, marriage and family courses, that so-called homosexual marriage is the equivalent of heterosexual marriage. And because teachers are authority figures, children will be more than likely to accept homosexual relationships as normal and natural. A wedge will then be driven between the school and parents who have deeply held religious and moral beliefs against homosexuality. The educational process will be severely disrupted by massive demonstrations of irate parents and students who object to the teaching of homosexuality as a normal alternative lifestyle. Lawsuits against the state will explode because of violation of parental rights. My friends, opposing homosexual marriage is not about hate, homophobia, and bigotry. In reality, protecting marriage as the union of one man and one woman is about love and compassion. Real compassion and love is not shown by pretending that homosexual behavior is normal and natural. We don't relate to alcoholics by glorifying their alcoholism, or to drug addicts by celebrating their addiction. It is not compassionate to encourage people to take pride in behavior that is destroying themselves and society as well. We should be reaching out to those who are addicted to homosexual behavior and encouraging them to join the countless thousands of former homosexuals, both men and women, who are now free from this destructive lifestyle. Make no mistake, legalizing homosexual marriages is an attack by homosexual activists and their supporters on the moral foundations of this country. They are committed to redefining the sacred institution of marriage. It is a blatant attempt to normalize homosexual behavior, to change the hearts and minds of the American people so that we will accept homosexuality on an equal basis as heterosexuality. Those who are pushing for legalizing homosexual marriages are the aggressors in this battle. We are simply trying to defend two crucial institutions which are the backbone of American culture: marriage and the family. And that, my friends, is what this issue is really all about, of homosexual marriage. It's examining the value of family. Society has a vested interest in keeping families strong. The bedrock of society is family, and the foundation of family is marriage. These days, families are under a tremendous amount of pressure, financial, moral, and spiritual. Families are breaking up left and right, to a large degree because of the hedonistic philosophy of anything goes. If it feels good, do it, in the society that we live in. You would think that the state should be going out of its way to help families survive, to protect the institutions of marriage and the family. Yet government insists on dropping bombs on the family, and that's precisely what so-called homosexual marriage is, a bomb that will blow the traditional family to pieces. Friends, Hawaii is not an island unto itself. I stand before you tonight, citizen to citizen, American to American, on behalf of the entire national campaign to protect marriage. I am asking for your support and your prayers to face this challenge. Currently in Hawaii, our state legislators have the option of passing a constitutional amendment defining marriage as the legal union between one man and one woman as husband and wife. If 2/3 of our Senate and 2/3 of our House members pass this amendment, the people of Hawaii, not the courts, will decide in November of this year whether so-called homosexual marriages should be legalized. The two most recent public opinion polls show that 67% and 68% of Hawaii residents are opposed to homosexual marriages. If no amendment is passed and the Attorney General loses in Circuit Court on July 15th and he does not appeal, Hawaii would become the first jurisdiction ever in the history of mankind to legalize homosexual marriage. So you can see, we need your prayers and we need your support.